This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, and guess what? We have a gathering of the female hyenas of the Djuma clan at the den site with the dead Nyala. This is a fantastic starter to our sunrise safari. Now we'll get into the sort of technical details of who is who. I'm Jamie. You know, the one who can't talk. This morning, Senzo is on camera with me, and we're coming to you live from Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park of South Africa. Let's keep watching the hyenas, because this is such an awesome sighting. So, if you want to get hold of us, share your thoughts and comments and questions, you can do that on #SafariLive on Twitter. Alternatively, you can go to the comments section of YouTube. Oh, look at this little one. Corky's here, looking well fed, and obviously somebody brought an entire Nyala carcass back to the den. You'd think they have learnt, but of course they have not. And the little cub has decided that this is the best ever chew toy. Woo! It's all meaty and tasty. It's the best. We also have Ribbon and Ntima here. Giraffe Girl says the hyena den. Whoop whoop. Yes, indeed. A whoop. Whoop. Oh dear, you get my point. There's the lady of the hour, the matriarch of the clan, recent survivor of devastating lion attack, looking incredibly healthy. Hey girl. Hello, Corky. I'm going to take all the pictures and I'm going to get away with it because I'm doing it for ID kit purposes. As many nice clear photos of their spot patterns as I can get. Corky's desperately trying to gather. She's been chasing Ntima around, and Ntima hasn't really had much of an opportunity to chew on this carcass, even though she wants to. Here comes Mum Ribbon, walking in. You're going to get chased away very shortly. And there's just cubs barreling in from every direction. It'll be interesting to see how the little one, who's learned to bully the cubs at the den, feels about bullying some of the adults as well, because that's something that it's going to learn very shortly. Morning! Brent said last night Corky's little cub was coming right up to the vehicle. Yes, hello. No, what you got? No, that's not nearly as nice of a chew toy. What a fantastic start to our morning safari. There's Pretty, so enormous she can't move, and Ribbon with her newly shaped ears. Oh, I'm so excited. This is fantastic. Lots of talking. Now I don't even know where to look. And I don't know who the mystery hyena is at the back, but I'm assuming that it's a female. Oh, plop! Oh, plop! Whose head are you jumping on? I can't see. Lift your ear. Probably June. I'm guessing June. Can't really tell. There's just hyenas everywhere. It's a really awesome opportunity for us to get an idea as to which hyenas are dominant over which, now that our hyena clan has been slightly confused. And the other thing to look at, but unfortunately she's not standing still, but is to check Corky's injury, which is looking absolutely fine. There you go. There's her injury over there. It is a sort of pale white in color, probably slightly infected, but hyenas do have an incredible resistance to infections, so it's deep. And it's still weeping a little bit, but she's not even walking with a limp. That combined with her... Oh, look at these two. Sorry, I know we're looking at Corky's injury, and I know I'm throwing you all over the show. But look at this. One of Pretty's cubs. Oh, whoop. Oh, falling over. None of the cubs here are old enough to eat meat yet, but that doesn't mean they're not going to give it a jolly good go. Come on, pull. Pull. Get it. Quite a small, maybe a bushbuck actually. looking at the size of a tiny rib cage next to that hyena's head. This is just the best ever. Ribbon finally getting a chance to tuck in. She's well fed, so she's not lacking in a meal. That's interesting. Almost as though she was telling that cub off. We really need to see some interaction between Pretty and Ribbon. We know that Corky's dominant over her. Such a cool opportunity to share your screenshots on #SafariLive on Twitter. Little bone crushers learning to be bone crushers. Not quite there just yet. 2 years, of course, is how long it will take until their jaws fully develop. So they've got a little way to go. Corky's talking away. Oh, look, what do you want? Corky, what do you want from your poor cub? Tantrum. No, Mom. I don't want to go where you want me to go. I want to run and be free with dirty feet and bright eyes. Look at me go. Look at me race. Catch me if you can. No, you can't catch me. Don't catch me. Please don't catch me. Now I'm scared. Ah, Mom. Aha. Just remembered I'm dominant because Mom's here. So that little cub is capable of bullying each and every single hyena here. It outranks everyone except Mum. Kirsty has reminded me that there are actually other vehicles out and there are other presenters that would like to say good morning. Let's go across to Sydney, who's also got a spotted creature.
What a great morning. You can see that already I have got the little chief at the moment, Hosanna, who is now very much relaxed. He was just playing when I got here with some of the meat left from last night. And a very, very good morning and welcome to the beginning of the morning safari. I am Sydney Niconico, and I'm traveling with Sebastian, who is my camera operator. For in case if you need our attention, you can follow us on Twitter, #Safari, and you can also follow us on YouTube chat stream. So this cat has been here for a couple of days and he's still now feeding on some remains from the nyala. Last night there has been some hyenas here. I can see not much is left. There's just legs here spread around in the area. He's got another leg. I can see another leg from where I am here. It's just that where Seb is maybe it's difficult a little bit. Yes, you can see there. That is another piece of the nyalas. So the two nyalas died here a few days ago, and he has been here since the discovery until today. I think it's about 3-4 days now. And then they were old already because when he opened the stomach, the smell was bad already. Jane, the nyala population is really going down at the moment, but most of the browsers, they do experience this every year. Let me give you this example. When it's dry, the vegetation gets quite a lot of pressure because the balance between predation as well as prey animals and the grazing is not there. When the bush is very dry, the grazers, they tend to focus on a certain spot, and browsers as well, they target only few trees available. For the trees to survive that kind of a pressure, they raise quite a lot of tannin, which then gives them a problem in their stomach, and then they experience this kind of problem. Apart from that, there are also diseases associated with these kind of problems, diseases such as the myopathy. Myopathy is a muscle disease which which is caused by stress. Sometimes does also affect the captured animals during the game capturing when animals are stressed. But under a normal condition, animals, when there's drought, can also have stress. The stress which can end up gives them problems to do with their muscles, and then they become weak, and you will see symptoms such as fatigue and also dark urine, and they start to die because of the heat conditions and the blood transport in their bodies. So those kind of diseases can also affect the nyalas and quite a lot of ungules, including cats as well. So you can see that he is still now carrying on eating grass. Yes, he has been eating grass for a while now. So now let's go back to Jenny, who is by the hyena den.
It is such a beautiful, beautiful morning, and to have a moment like this with as many of the clan's females as we have here is a truly special opportunity. Both of Pretty's cubs have finally emerged. They've been chased around by Ribbon. It's awesome. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring on board a larger audience so that they can share in our love for hyenas and perhaps change a few minds across the globe. Welcome to an absolutely stunning morning spent at my favorite place on the entire planet. It is the hyena den of the Djuma clan, which is on the Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa, where animals roam wild and free in a massive, massive protected wilderness area. Now, my name is Jamie, and this is a completely live. Senzo is behind the camera. Listen, listen. One of them's calling. Awesome. What a way to start a morning. This is why we get up right at the beginning of the day, so that we can experience things just like this. We've been up since before dark, and now we're watching the interactions between some of the clan's females, while at the same time trying to avoid the truly horrendous smell that is emanating from the den site. Now, they've brought a carcass of an antelope back to the den site itself, and the little cubs are thoroughly intrigued. We've got the little black one over there. He is dashing about. Now, this little one is the son of the matriarch. That's her over there. That means she is the highest ranked female. We call her Corky. And she's very easily identifiable by the sort of notch out of the top of her left ear. Now, because hyenas inherit their status from their mothers, that means that that little black thing, dashing about so much smaller than everyone else, literally rules the roost. So hyenas have a very strict hierarchy in the way in which their social structure is organized. It's incredibly complex. They have friends, they have alliances, and they have members of the clan that they don't particularly like. So it's as complex as certain primates. Now, in this case, we've got a collection of most of the breeding females of this clan. In other words, the adult females. There's June, there's Ribbon, there's Corky and Pretty. We've named them all because it's much, much easier to keep track of their dynamics that way. Sue, you say, what a cutie indeed. Now, he's doing so much learning. At the moment, he's actually not ready to eat meat. He is still suckling and will continue to suckle from mum for another 18 or so months. But this is basically a chew toy for him. This is a ready-made chew toy, One of the other females, Ribbon, is now standing over it, munching away. Now, if she in any way upsets that little cub, then its mother will come barreling in to discipline her. Oh! No, don't disappear on that side of the den. We want to see you. Now Irene knows all about what happened over the course of last week. So Irene's wondering what will be the long-term effects of the lion attack on the hyena. Now, about a week ago, the matriarch Corky was attacked by a lion who snuck up to a scene just like this one and actually stalked her, launched an attack and grabbed her by the spine. Now, he's left a deep puncture wound on her right-hand side. Tima's dragging it away. Uh-oh, you're going to be in trouble. Oh, very brave move from Ntima. Corky looks as though she might go back and get it if the cub doesn't get it first. Where'd it go? Long term, actually, I don't think we're going to see any negative effects. They're still bringing carcasses back to the den, so obviously they're not frightened to do so. And she is not badly injured at all. Just goes to show how tough hyenas are. She's got a nasty wound. It's still weeping. It's infected. But because of her immune system, she will actually heal up very well. And although it looks really shockingly painful, she's not even limping at this point. So she's going to be absolutely fine. If she had been killed, it would have been a very different matter. Because this clan is so small, the loss of their matriarch or the head of the clan could have had devastating effects. Because a matriarch, although she takes the best for herself, it's like taking away a manager from a company. All of a sudden it throws the entire structure below them into complete disarray. So she's very, very important. Hello, little one. Come say hello. There's naturally such curious creatures that any day now that cub's going to be coming right up to our vehicle to say hello. Something they grow out of. Our hyenas are not a threat to us at all. Oh, excuse me. It's the morning chill. Liam, you want to know when the cub's colour will change and it will get its spots. At around about 3 or so months, you'll see the spots showing through the dark fur. So this little one is still a little bit young. I think at this point it's about, 7 weeks, 8 weeks old now? So it's still got a way to go before the spots emerge. The two older cubs are a little bit more reticent to come out of the den. They're over there, and you can see that they've started to get the spots. They're just starting to show through as they clamber over one of the other females. So they're now over 3 months old, and you can actually see those spot patterns. Now, the reason that I can The reason that I can recognize the individuals is because once they get their spot patterns, as this one has, that will stay constant for the rest of their life. And each single hyena has a spot pattern that is as unique as fingerprints. So you can tell the different hyenas once you've got to know them. Oh, get him! Little trouble? Healthy, well-fed, round-bellied, and full of energy. Get him! Get him! Now Mum's coming to check up on things. Make sure that nobody's bullying her cub. Now she's grabbed it. I have absolutely no idea why she keeps grabbing her cub. She seems to want it to be somewhere, but doesn't seem to want to go with her. Oh, cute! I know that hyenas have a terrible reputation, but it is very, very ill-deserved. In some parts of the world, they hunt up to 95% of their prey, so they're not just dirty thieves, and incredibly bright. And I'm sorry if that little cub doesn't warm your heart, then nothing will. Even if it's smelly. All right. It's time for us to say goodbye to our wider audience. It's been an absolute pleasure spending time and sharing these amazing hyenas with you. Remember, if you'd like to see more, you can Google SafariLive and join us for the live safari, which is going to continue for another 2.5 hours. So that's the way that you can do that. It's live and interactive. Enjoy one last glimpse of the hyenas from South Africa, and then it's time for us to say goodbye. Okie dokie, everyone. We're going to actually move around the den, I think, at this point, given that everyone's moved to that side. So we're going to do that. So while we do that, poor Brent hasn't even had an opportunity to say good morning to you yet. I'm sure he's deeply, deeply put out.
Well, not at all, to be honest. I'm quite enjoying my stroll through the African dawn. Good morning. My name is Brent Deersmith, and I have Batman on camera, and what we're going to do is head towards the east into the Moawati River, and hopefully, fingers crossed, oh, that lion's much closer, but still to the north of us. Sounds like they might be coming this way. Evoker boy is making lots of noise this morning, but I'm 100% certain that's north of our boundary. So I want to go into the area where Chandi was last seen yesterday. It is a bit of a gamble because it's quite a big area and she could have moved an immense distance last night. But what we're going to do is we're going to start at the spot where we found a dead Inyala on drive yesterday. So one of the Inyala that has died from the tannins at this time of the year, affecting its gut flora from what it's feeding. So who knows, Hasana found 2, maybe Tundi found that one, fingers crossed. Now, I haven't seen her since she's had her battle with Sibui, so I've heard the injury is not too bad, so hopefully she's doing well. Now remember, if you want to send us any questions, hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or you can just pop your questions into the feed on YouTube. But it is a wonderful time of the day to be walking, and talking about walks, and thank you for the compliments on my lion call. Talking about walks, when I worked in safari lodges, there used to be called this evil creature. I used to call it the 11 o'clock monster. Now, the 11 o'clock monster is done by most safari lodges, and it is the bushwalk. So you go mill about for a bit, and then some poor guide or tracker has to take you on the 11 o'clock monster. And in summer, it is ridiculously hot. Rex, you found something? I don't know. Let's wait to hear from Rex. What have we got? Ah. Something was sleeping here. Yes, it does look like that. And you'll see Jackie in the background. And she's obviously one of our trainees who is shadowing us on walk. What do you think, Rex? Glove. Looks like we thought somebody might have been sleeping here, but on closer inspection it looks like there's a hippo dragging its feet about. Okie dokie. Well, let's go see if we can find Tandi and Kalamba. While we do that, sounds like Jamie's in her element at the hyena den.
I am in my element, as Kirsty tried to say. I am in my element. I will go and help Brent with the search for Tundi a little bit later, but right now I'm not going to miss out on a moment, since it's so rare that we get to see this many females gather, or actually just this many clan members full stop gathered at the den. It's a tricky one to figure out where to position ourselves, thanks largely to Ntima, who moved the carcass into such an awkward place that I can't get into a good position to view it without disturbing her. Well, actually, if I try and move forward now, she's going to get a fright and barrel off. Now that I've come all the way onto this side, they've all moved onto the other side, because that's how it works. That's Murphy's Law. Cubs absolutely everywhere. Now, a little bit earlier, Ribbon was making the sort of low groaning sounds that I associate with a mother, but I don't think I see any signs of lactation. I was hoping that perhaps she might just have new babies. Daisy, you want to know if Corky's milk, or Corky's infection, will affect the quality of her milk? I don't think so. I mean, I know that it is possible for mothers to affect their babies through the milk process or through the production of the milk. But I don't think in this case, I think that Corky's immune system is so powerful and so good at isolating. June? Are you feeling stirrings of maternal instincts there, by any chance? Oh, big girl? Possibly. Possibly, maybe. Just a little bit. Yes, it's time, girl. What was I talking about? Oh, yes, the milk. I think Corky's immune system is so powerful that I don't think it's going to affect her milk negatively. And, I mean, to look at her cub, you can actually actively see that it's not in any way ill-affected. It's barreling around with a fat belly. Might even get the odd antibody. The odd extra antibody, I should say. Look at you. Yes, you're perfectly healthy. Come on. Come say hello. I came all this way. It's the least you can do. Yes, good morning. And you too, Ribbon. You can come and say hello if you want, but you definitely won't. My imagination, or does Ribbon walk around at the moment like a kicked puppy? She's so submissive. Oh, excuse me. Saka, aye. Saka, no. I know you have a reputation for putting noses on people's legs. You are not welcome to put your nose on mine. No, my boy. Go over there. Go over there. Go on. I don't care if he wants to say hello. I don't want his jaws anywhere near my leg. He's one of the few adult hyenas that's never grown out of this. And first he wanted to sniff Lauren's shoes. Now chances are all he wants to do is sniff my leg. Do I want to take that chance with a hyena that has the ability to crush my shin bone? No, not really. It's one of the few adults I've ever known that continues to do that. Now, apparently he even put his nose on Tristan's leg, so I'm not allowing him to do it. It's not acceptable. I am correct, isn't it? It is Tsaka with the wound on his hip bone. Go over there. Shoo. Shoo. Naughty boy. I was totally caught unawares. It was so close because I was so busy watching my monitor and what's happening with the females. Yes, okay, you go join Ntima and eat that. Yes. What's happening here, guys? Lots of sniffing, tails up, a little bit bristly. Social sniff. A social sniff is basically where a high-ranked hyena sniffs something and the slightly lower-ranked hyena joins in with great excitement, as if to say, oh, I like the smell too. Look, we have something in common. We have something in common. Please like me. That's essentially how it goes. Oof. Ouch. Oof. I'm not actually squeamish, but that does look quite sore. Thanks, Crystal. It is Tsaka. I knew it was. I just had to double-check I hadn't got my names confused. Tsaka likes to get a little bit too close for comfort. We let the cubs do it because they don't in any way harm us. Oh, Aiden, who is 7 years old, Aiden wants to know if these are nice hyenas. Oh, look at them all gathering now around the cubs. Sorry, Tsaka. We love you, but we want to watch the female interaction for a moment. Aiden, these are lovely hyenas. All hyenas are actually nice hyenas. They're no bad guys in the animal kingdom. Sometimes one animal steals from another, but that's not because they're bad animals. It's because that is what animals do. So they don't get taught as we do as human beings, not to lie or not to steal. All they get taught is that it is all about survival out here. So whether that means hunting for yourself or stealing from others, there's no moral code that guides the hyenas, but they are fascinating and super, super intelligent. So yes, these are nice hyenas. They're my favorite hyenas. I'm going to be quiet for just a moment. No, I'm not. I'm going to cough. Sorry. Sorry, Ghost. Ghost says shh. I was trying to give you the... Tsaka, my boy, I'm trying to have a moment here. Okay, yes, you can sit here. You can sit here if you want. I will smack you on the head if you come too close. No, you can't come and groom your genitals right next to me. That's just... He's going, come on, I know I'm not as cute as the cubs, but come on, you gotta love me. Love me. Love me, look how lovely I am. Look how lovely I am. Saka, you're also smelly. Sure. I wonder where you came from. You came from somewhere where you were a cub around cars, that much I can tell you. Elephant Plains, maybe? In Coral? One of those den sites? This hyena came from somewhere where he was allowed to go right up to the vehicles. As I said, most of the time they grow out of it. This one didn't. Ivy, you say that you think he has a crush on me. I appreciate the thought, but it was Lauren he went to first. I think it's a crush on Lauren, to be completely frank with you. Although he has more of a crush on me purely because he's right next to... Oh, there's my fingers in there. No, Tsaka, come on. No. This is a family show. Okay. Right, beautiful. Shall we look at the hyena cubs instead? Yes, let's do that. Let's go back. Yes, he has a lovely shoulder, beautiful shoulder, lovely line. Should see Lauren's face in the back, it's hilarious. Oh, hyenas. Certainly never boring. I mean, it would be an opportunity to examine the anatomy, but we're not going to do that because you can't actually see anything. So we'll stick to the goings-on at the den. Is that ribbon lying there? No, it's not. It's pretty. I was hoping that we might get a chance to see ribbons underside. That's ribbon next to her. Puma, you want to know if that low vocalization has a meaning? It does. It's often to call to the youngsters, to the cubs. However, you do also hear that sound when the high-ranked hyenas are warning the low-ranked hyenas. So it can be a warning sound, particularly where you've got little cubs being bowled over by older adults. The mothers often sort of make a sort of loud growling sound. It's not actually growling. Hyenas can't growl. Good boy. Good, Saka. Thank you for not trying to put your face back in my car. So it has two meanings. There's actually a difference between the call to the cubs and the low warning sound, but unless you've spent a lot of time with hyenas, you're going to struggle to hear the difference. Look at this little one here being roughed around. Come on. So gentle. Ooh, that's brave. If that little one so much as makes us squeak, Mom is going to come. Oh, that face! I must say, Tima's never been shy. For all that she is not higher ranked than this cub. What are you doing? Wait, don't leave. I want to chew you some more. Wait, okay, no, there's someone I can bully. Oh, oopsie. Oh dear, that went pear-shaped. Ribbon, now you're joining in. Oof. Mom and daughter being very brave. Oh, ouch. Whoa. You nearly got into trouble, Intima. You took it that one step too far. You can't dangle 2-month-old cubs from their back legs. They don't like it. You crazy creature. Ribbon. Oh, and Tima's gone back to it. She's going to get a smack. She's going to get such a smack from Corky if she's not careful. The thing is that Corky knows that Intima's still young. Intima's only, what is Intima? 2 years old soon. Yeah, she must be. She must be coming up to 2, so she's still actually a baby. She's not fully grown yet. Not quite as tiny as the little one. But there's no ill intention there. She's just playing. Although, she must be careful, because now Corky's getting protective. Oh, I was in preparation for tomorrow's Safari Lives. I've been doing a lot of delving back down into the archives, and once I go down that rabbit hole, I struggle to come back out of it. I've been watching the old footage from when June was a baby and Hart was a baby, and I even found footage of Ribbon when she was tiny. Not tiny as in a cub, but when June was a cub. We're talking again. So in that case, that moan that they just made was a moaning warning, not a call to cubs. Again, social sniff. The tails bristle. They'll get excited about something that they're smelling, and then everyone joins in. It's a way of establishing friendship bonds. Hello, little one. Are you coming back? No, you're not, because Intima's come to turn you upside down again. This is the hyena cub equivalent of that family member that reached over to you as a child and said, "I've got your nose," and grabbed it off your face and put it between their fingers. You know that. You know that. That's what this is. And Tima's being the cool aunt. It's in no way, despite its experience of being largely turned upside down, is in no way dispirited by the whole experience. And Tima, stop picking it up by its leg. I looked at the footage, by the way, from August of June doing the same thing to Intima, dragging her around on her back by her leg. Oh, here comes Corky. Game over. Sorry, Corky, sorry, Corky. He started it, though. Look, Tristan has confirmed the cub is male. I'm not going to go against his judgment. I believe him when he said it was very clear to him that that was the case. We'll keep double-checking ourselves. You're going to get Intima into trouble. Yes, go play with the cub. Squeak, squeak. All right. Okay. I'm going to do it. I'm going to send you across to Sydney, who is with Hasana.
Hosanna has just now moved from where I am, so I'm going to have to drive around here in order to get to where he is. He was right in the middle of the drainage. He just climbed the drainage now and go to the other side. And it's quite a bit difficult to see him from where we are. So we're just going to now keep following and have a better sighting from the other side. So he's very relaxed at the moment. He's not walking, which is much better. So it's quite a very difficult terrain here where I am. Yeah, I can see him from here where I am. It's just that he is high up. Yeah, I can see him from here as well. So you can see he's right there on top of this drainage line. But he's listening. Earlier on, we had a visitor. There was a Nyala who came pretty close. But Hosanna did not manage to pick up the presence of the Nyala until the Nyala picks him and ran away while he was barking, informing all the other animals that Hosanna is in the drainage. So he has been eating quite a lot of grasses since this morning. So these cats, they are standing a high risk of getting the diseases and parasites. Parasites such as the internal parasites, the tapeworms, they are normally staying in the stomach of what they eat. And if you check, most of these cats, after taking down a kill, they begin by eating the intestines and they absorb the stomach juice. In there is where there is quite a lot of tapeworm available. And by so doing that, they end up drinking a lot of tapeworms. That is why every time you will see them eating the grasses, because they are eating a lot of tapeworms most of the time. So tapeworms, sometimes their eggs, animals can pick them up here as they are feeding on grasses. The easiest way for the tapeworm to get out of the body of an animal is through defecation process. Most of these animals, when they defecate with the small head of, with the small pieces, small head that are broken from the main host from the main tapeworm in the body. And when they defecate, you will see those small heads coming out. And if they defecate in water, water can also be contaminated, and those kind of parasites can live up to a month. And when animals are drinking contaminated water, they can easily then pick up that. But if you can check in the wild, animals just defecate anywhere and everywhere. We have seen this cat 2 days ago. He was drinking water from the potholes. If those kind of potholes are infected by the droppings of the animals who are suffering from the internal parasites, it's easy for him to pick that up as well. So it's like it's becoming a habit to Hosanna to eat the grass. It's what he must do all the time because he's drinking tapeworms from the stomach juice. So now let's go back to the hyenas with Jamie.
Who's a really pale one?
One of the cubs has just come barreling down over the top of the termite mound. Sorry about that. I got distracted by cubs falling down all over the show. The games continue at the Hyena Den. You know, technically I am technically meant to be helping search for other content as well for this afternoon's or this evening's TV show. But hey, it all works out in the end, doesn't it? Ah, Sky, good morning. Lisa wants to know why it is so wet near the entrance to the den. That's probably because one of them urinated there. You read in all the textbooks that they will actually leave the den site to urinate and to defecate. They will actually leave to defecate if they can, but not so much to urinate. I mean, the amounts of times that we've actually seen the females urinate on the cubs' heads is truly appalling. But okay, look at it this way. Their sense of hygiene is absolutely revolting. It's non-existent. They drag dead things back to the home of their cubs, dead, rotten things. They urinate around the entrance to the den, and that's all very gross and all that. Except when one of them gets mauled by a lion and an infection that could kill her sets in, all of a sudden the immunity that she's had built up in her life from the moment she was a cub comes into play. So it makes a massive difference. It makes a massive difference to the way in which they grow up in their immune systems. And you find there's a study that was done not so long ago about the immune systems of captive hyenas versus... Oh, she's sniffing the air. Does Mom make you feel tall? What is that lovely smell on the breeze? Oh, we're going to go play on the log now. Okay, maybe we should go round. Something tantalizing. And there's the little one climbing all over the log. I can't even remember what I was talking about. Oh yes, immune systems. And the immune systems of wild hyenas obviously were far superior to those of captive hyenas. So, you know, for an animal that is designed to be able to eat rotten meat and bones, full of bacteria and all sorts of nasty things, this is maybe not a bad way to grow up. Oh, interesting. Tima's joined in the fray as the little one was trying to bully one of Pretty's cubs. No. Okay, this could be an interesting one. Because if Intima hurts the older cub and it squeals, it'll be interesting to see what Pretty does in response. How she will react to Intima. Because I'm not 100% sure, after all the dramatics of last year and the sort of shifts in power, where Pretty sits in this hierarchy. Oh dear, we're done by the leg again. Got by the leg. Oh. Ouch, Timo, that must be sore. Oh, yeah. Ever vigilant, Mum. And now you're in trouble. Turns out all three cubs are here. It's just that it's basically like trying to play one of those fairground games where you keep an eye on the ball under the cup. So all three are here. One is there about to take a tumble down the den. The other one is on top of Mum, about to fall off her. And then, of course, the other one's being thoroughly bullied by Intima. Although it's asking for it. There is no question about that. It keeps going back for more. Oh, interesting. Michael wants to know if I think that cubs strengthen a clan's unity. I'm inclined to say yes. But it's a tricky one. I'm inclined to say yes. Of course, we've spoken a lot about the den being this... Oh, that's cute. The den being the social hub of a hyena clan. It is so crucial to their existence, and moments like this, I really feel as though they reaffirm, if not the bonds between hyena clan members, certainly the hierarchy. It helps to keep everything ordered and in place. So I'm inclined to say yes. I also think it could have a potentially destabilizing effect. Maybe the wrong hyena antagonizes the wrong cub and something happens, or as you know, occasionally females, particularly high-ranked females, kill the cubs of low-ranked females, which is something that I don't think the low-ranked females will forget about. I think they will bear that grudge for the rest of their lives. If they're capable of forming friendships, you can't tell me that they won't remember which hyena killed their cubs. So I don't know, it could go both ways, I guess. But I think on the whole, it probably does strengthen the unity. And Ribbon's calling again. Can we zoom in on that hyena at the back there, Sens? I know she's behind all the sticks. She's doing so much talking. I think I see nipples. I mean, I know I see nipples, but I think I possibly see signs of lactation. Yes, she's been behaving oddly this whole time, and Tima's been playful, and the others have been lazy. June's vanished. She's wandered off somewhere. But Ribbon hasn't stopped moaning. I wonder. Wouldn't that be nice? Another set of cubs wandering around? Back to proper old Djuma clan times. Oh, now Ribbon's playing with the cub. Slightly less. No, not slightly less. This is the new favourite game. Tip Corky's cub upside down by its leg. It's loving it. There is absolutely no sign that it's disturbed. Bridget, you say that all this play must be education for the babies. Yes, absolutely. It really, really is. First of all, it's a development of coordination and learning where to bite, which parts hurt, how hard to bite, and so on. But also, of course, it's teaching them their place in the clan hierarchy. If mom is acting subservient to another hyena, then the cub follows suit, and vice versa. If it's dominant, then it will act dominant. So this play is very, very important. Now, for a little clan like this, life is easy, especially if you're a high-ranked cub like this one is. Because essentially, there's going to be squealing. There's going to be squealing. Oh, you two are trouble. Ribbon and Intima. You're not terrorizing Hosanna. I'm surprised Corky hasn't stepped in. This is almost bordering on the point of sore for this little cub. They're so tough. I can't even remember what I was going to say. Oh, I've escaped. I'm done. I'm going to go bully somebody much easier. No, I'm not. I'm going to go back again. No, I'm gone again. Oh, we're having a silly five. We've run away. We've gone. For a small clan, it's quite easy for hyenas to know their place. It's little things just dashing everywhere. It's quite easy for hyena cubs to know their place because they've only got a few members to remember. Oh, here comes Corky. There was a nervous giggle. Corky's coming in. Which side would you like me to go, you lot? See how she hasn't responded aggressively with Intima at all. Not once, not really. Oh dear, which way do we go? Which way do we go? Okay. Alrighty, while we decide which place to put ourselves in, let's go across to Brent, who maybe has found another victim of the dry season.
Nope, where that Nyala we found on Sunset Safari yesterday was, I think this would have been hilarious to watch. And it looks like it's been stolen by hyena. Difficult to say, but we had a lot of hyena tracks coming in this direction. But what's happened is they've pulled it from here, and then I think what's happened is they've just dragged it down the steep bank, and I almost think the hyena would have rolled down with it, and then they've dragged it further down here. But I think it was quite a small Nyala, and the fact that the drag marks end quite quickly means that that hyena's been powerful enough to just lift it and drag it off without leaving too much of a trail. But we'll have a look. I mean, you can see it's very difficult, nearly impossible. Oops, sorry, Craig, you're stuck there in the tree. To see tracks on here. And we are sort of secretly hoping that Tandy is the one who found it first, but I don't think so. I think it was a hyena. You can actually still smell the remnant of the rot. This looks like it's gone this way. I'm just trying to find a way for Craig to follow me through. Oof, the lions to the north are making an incredible racket. Haven't stopped calling all morning. Let's go around. Deborah is wondering what happens if I stumble into lions. Watch out there, Craig. Lions on foot now. I'll be very happy, Deborah. I'll be very happy to find lions on foot, and then I will look at them, and then I will call the game drives vehicles to come take over. And we're just having a quick look around in some of the nicer trees that for a leopard, but as I say, I'm 99% sure that that carcass was found by hyenas, which means from here we're probably just going to loop back up and head round towards Mumba Road and check that last area where Tandy was seen. Maybe go all the way up to Drakensberg to see if there are any tracks. But yeah, it looks like almost certainly stolen by hyena, unfortunately. But it is gorgeous this morning. And, I mean, the sun's out and the lions are still calling. David is asking, is there any confirmation that Tandy was mating last week? No, there isn't, David. No confirmation. That noise we heard could very easily have been her fighting. That Tristan and I heard. Fighting and mating sounds very similar. Except fighting doesn't happen every 15 minutes normally. Okay. Ooh, thorns everywhere today. Seems like Jamie is still at the hyena den. I wonder if these hyenas who grabbed this Inyala are going to bring it back to the den.
Well, I think they might have done. I think that was the carcass that we were looking at earlier. I'm almost certain that that was the case. It was either a Nyala or a bushbuck. I said it was a bushbuck because it looked so small, but it could have been an Nyala. So that's quite possible that it's already made its way to the den site. It's so difficult to choose where to sit because they keep wondering. Every time I try and show them to you, they go across to the opposite side of the den site. Then, as soon as I go to move, they come back again. It's just one of those funny things where I think perhaps sitting still is better rather than missing something crucial. What I have noticed is that Corky is that much more dominant over Ribbon. She's quite forceful with Ribbon, where she's not with Intima. It's interesting. I wonder if it's just because Intima's young. What, Corky, why are you trying to drag your cub around? Ashley, you want to know if when they're playing, are they trying to hurt the cub? No, not at all. There's no intention to cause any pain there, especially with that little one, because Mom will actually turn around and beat them up quite seriously. So no, there's no intention to cause any pain. It is just that. It's play. It's play in hyena way. I mean, you've watched lion cubs as well. They can sometimes get a little bit too rough with each other, particularly where you've got older cubs and younger cubs together. It does sometimes get too rough. Oh, Corky, shame. All this movement's made her wound weep. Just want to take some antibiotics and just pack them in there and wrap it up. Obviously, we would never do that. It is a natural injury and therefore must be allowed to heal on its own. But it just looks like it needs some that antibiotic powder or something. Just dry it out a little bit. Flop. It's breakfast time now. What an appetite. Depressed? I'm sorry to hear. I hope this has made your day slightly better. You want to know if Corky is reopening the wound every time she walks? Yes, she is. It's in an awkward place. It's going to take a little bit longer to heal than, say, an injury might on her rib cage, for example, because it is straight over that muscle, over the lateral muscle. So it is probably causing, not her lateral muscle, her latimus, her lats. So it is opening up every time she moves her muscles. Yes. But it will heal. It'll just take time. Listen to this. That's not pretty, making that sound. That's ribbon round the back there. Ribbon? What is going on? And Tima's not responding to that call at all. Ribbon, what's up? She doesn't look pregnant to me. And she hasn't looked pregnant in the times that I've seen her. Carol, chances are Ribbon would go to a natal den if she were to give birth to a cub. And she would give birth away from the clan, and then at about 2 weeks she'd bring the cub to the communal den if she felt so inclined. I don't think that she feels too low ranking to bring a cub here. I don't know, she's just behaving oddly. We'll have to wait and see. It could just be the hormones are starting to flow again. Now that Ntima's reached a certain age, perhaps she's coming back into estrus again. The birthing interval would be about right. Oh, hey June, you're back again. Come and interact with Ribbon, please, so that we can figure out where you stand. I watched some of the old footage. I saw Ribbon dominating June's mother. But that was back then. That was in 2015. This is now. Oh, I'm talking nonsense. No, I'm not talking nonsense. There's June. She's a tough hyena. Listen. Now it's June's turn to go and investigate the entrance to the den. Both Ribbon, June and Heart should be due for cubs soonish. I mean, obviously they're not on a time schedule, but all three at some point soon should fall pregnant, or at least mate. You're looking very fat. Did you enjoy that, Nyala? Did it go down well? Yes, I don't think you lot have had a particularly hard time. All the poor browsers that have found themselves falling victim to the tannins. Those tannins have kept the hyenas well fed. Pretty's cub going to investigate. Oh, I'm so happy it's alive. It is so much smaller than its sibling, but it's doing fine. Zach, that's the extraordinary thing. Zach wants to know, with those powerful teeth and jaws, do the mothers ever injure the cubs, or the adults actually ever injure the cubs when they pick them up? No. It also, remember that cubs are like children. They are, well, they're floppy. Do you know what I mean? They're just in the same way that children can often fall from, don't drop your child, but children can fall from heights that would really hurt an adult, and they're fine because the ends of their bones haven't calcified. Now what happens, like with puppies and kittens, if you grab them by the scruff of the neck and you pick them up, they go completely relaxed and limp with their feet tucked up. Now the same sort of happens with hyena cubs, except that they don't really get picked up by the scruff of the neck. They get dragged around by their neck itself. But that same response is there, so they just go completely floppy. And then they don't get injured. It's the same way that generally, if somebody is intoxicated and they happen to do something incredibly stupid like fall off a balcony, they're more likely to be okay if they're intoxicated than they are not, because they go limp. Ribbon and Intima have now gone off. They've moved off to Treehouse Dam, just by the way, so they've left. And it's just the cubs that are now, Pretty's two cubs, that are now galloping about. I don't even know where Pretty is. I think she left the party at some point and I just didn't notice. Nope, no milk there, little one. Now, Rima would like to know how you should react to curious hyenas when they come too close. It really depends upon the age of the hyena. So I'm comfortable letting the cubs come right up and sniff the tires of the vehicle, even put their noses close to the side of the car. Generally, our rule is you don't touch the car. Now, that was something I found almost impossible to enforce with the hyenas in the Mara, because there were 10 of them. It was like trying to have eyes in the back of my head. And they were also very, very comfortable with people and vehicles. These little cubs, generally you can just sort of say no, and they'll leave your grease caps alone. So our standard rule is don't touch the car. But with hyena cubs, we're a little bit more lax about it, because they grow out of it. However, when an adult hyena, or even a hyena of Intima's age, gets too close and goes to chew on the car, all you have to do is start up the vehicle. And I'm quite happy to let them come right up to the side. I have no problem with that. As soon as those teeth are involved and they look sort of like they want to chew on something, then I just start the vehicle and they get the message straight away. They're so intelligent. And Tsaka is unique. I don't know what that hyena's been taught to do, but he's quite naughty. However, I don't think there's any real desire to chew us. I think it's just curiosity. I'm not going to take that chance, though. Michael, that does help. Thank you very much. Michael tells me that a week ago, Ribbon and Sakat were together quite a lot. They were seen together quite frequently, and that they seem to be quite friendly with each other. And is there a possibility that they mated? That's entirely possible. So perhaps we've got to wait another 2 months or so, or 2.5 months, before we have little ribbon cubs. And again, probably another 2 weeks after that before she brings them to the communal den. But that does help, thank you. I also thought I saw romance between Luca and Hart. So if she doesn't have cubs already, she could be due some shortly. It's the interesting thing with romancing hyenas is the males have to be so nice to the females. Okay, team, it's time for me to think about leaving. I'm going to sit here for just a little bit longer while I make up my mind. Let's go across to Sydney and the lovely Hosanna.
So Hosanna is still very much relaxed at the moment. He has just moved from the drainage line to the outside now, where I am having a better sighting. But now I can see he's just about to relax now. There is a piece of a dead tree in front of him. Maybe he's going to use that as his pillow for resting purposes. So I can see that now he's not up to anything. And when I went down there to check if there is any more meat available, I saw that everything now is finished. He's now on top. So chances of him to move around this afternoon, they are very much high from here, maybe to the next waterhole. So the possibilities of conducting hunting activities this afternoon, they are very much low unless something comes here and maybe attract him to take action. But the stomach, it looks very big at the moment. So you can see that he is now just resting where there is quite a lot of shade available, and he's listening to these birds who are making noise. That's why he's moving there. But those birds, they are just making normal noise. It's not any sign of an alarm call against his presence. Look at that now. He is coming. It's time to go back, maybe to the drainage. Or he might climb the termite mound. Let's see. So he's eating grass again there. So this is quite a beautiful cat. Look at that. So you can see the stomach that is full. Like snakes, he is getting fat. He's getting thick also by the neck. You can see he's developing strong muscles. So that will help him when he is fighting the other males as soon as he starts engaging on territorial activities. You can see now he's still eating small piece of grasses. Oh, there's even a small piece of bone here under this tree where he's passing by. So this might have been brought by the hyenas last night, as I saw some hyena tracks heading towards this side. And when we were on the other side, we could smell that the bush around here is smelling like a dead animal, showing that the rotten carcass has been spread around by the hyenas last night, and the trees, they've got those kind of smells here in the area at the moment. But not the high trees, only the trees that are very much close to the ground is the ones that touch that. So now I am going to follow him. I can see he's going to the other side again. Some of the birds, they have started now calling against his movement here in the area, informing everybody about him. So I can see that now he's not going to the drainage. He just went past the drainage. Maybe he's thinking about to go to the Buffalo's Hook Dam area. So let me just keep following and see what his intentions are this morning. Yeah. So when passing by, my antennae sometimes get hooked, so my camera operator has to put it up and down. So now let's go to Brent, who is on a guided walk.
We're still searching for Tundi. This is the block she was last seen going into. It's very, very thick. And I just came to check some of these water holes to see if there was any water, and she might have possibly popped in here for a beverage. This would have dried up at some point yesterday, and the hippos walked through it last night. Oh, look at this. Look at the green coming out over here. All the little pan weeds and stuff. Tiny little bit of water, and they've all started to shoot right out. But we're having no luck with track so far. So we're going to go maybe loop back up towards Drakensberg, and then if nothing, we're going to come through the middle of this thick area and back down towards the edge of the Moati. Paula is asking, do I have a favorite place to walk? I've got a few favorite places to walk, Paula, and I'd have to say my most favorite place is to walk is probably northern Botswana, and Zambia, South Luangwa is also a wonderful place to walk. Southern Tanzania and northern Kruger. On Djuma, my favorite place to walk is where the big cat tracks lead me. So my bushwalks are generally, especially now, we've had a little bit of rain, but there's not much insect and flower life around. And we have a TV show this evening, so my bushwalks at the moment are very much focused on finding cats. So that's what we're doing this morning. We're checking Tundi's favorite haunts in a big area where there's no roads, and we're just hoping, even if we just get the slightest sign, even if we can't follow the tracks, we have a good idea where she might be, and that'll make it a bit easier for us to follow up this afternoon. Nothing here. Let's go check on that big game path again. But you can see the ground is almost like cement through here at the moment. So we're just going very slowly, picking our way through, hoping to find some semblance of a track. Nope. Not a leopard track. Actually an impala track that's just stepped over each other. Made funny for a second, and it's quite old. There's Tingana tracks here, but they're very old. And the other problem, if you look at this path here, is overnight, you can see it's been scuffed quite a lot. There's hippos have walked along here and they're grazing, so they obliterated any chance of us seeing leopard tracks, unless we're very lucky here. But it sounds like the den is starting to quieten down, so let's go see what Jamie's got planned for you next.
The plan is to go and help Brent to see if we can find a Tundi somewhere on Djuma. So it is quietening down. Corky keeps trying to leave, but then June keeps coming back and trying to play with the cubs, and then Corky gets concerned and walks back again. But it looks as though most of the adults have moved away from the den site now. They're still within the area, so I don't feel inclined to, or I don't feel as though we have to move yet. Oh! Little one's getting so brave. I was just saying that it's interesting how Pretty's cubs are more reticent to approach the vehicle than Corky's cub. I don't know if that's because the vehicles were around Corky's cub from a younger age, or if there's actually a sort of a, I guess the only way to phrase it is a psychological effect of being the most dominant little creature here. Perhaps it's given it a sense of bravery in its approach to other things, strange things, interesting things. Nothing so far has caused it much pain or discomfort or fear, apart from, one large lion. So it feels comfortable approaching us. Okay, guys, what are we going to do? Corky's still groaning away in the background. Pretty's cub is now chewing on a patch of grass. Is that nice? Yes, that's very nice. All I've heard today is... Yes. Chris says it sounds like her stomach. It sounds like mine too. I've actually had a hard time distinguishing at this point between the growls of my stomach and the growls of the hyenas. What's up, Corky? I think she wants to leave, but I don't think she wants to leave while there's this many adults around. She might want the cub to go to bed, like all mothers. At some point it sort of gets to the stage of, please just go to sleep. Please go to sleep. Please, I've been up all night. I brought home an entire nyala for you. I just want to go to bed. The cub just keeps following her around. Pretty's had no such qualms about leaving. She just up to left at some point. I didn't even see her sneak out. That's what we call ninja bombing. When you're at a party that you don't really want to be at, and you sneak away unannounced so that no one can stop you. That's exactly what Pretty did. Run, 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 run. It's just this tiny little figure dashing across. You are very brave at the moment. This should be interesting. Stop! I want to sniff you. Let me sniff you. You've just come in. I want to smell you. Oh, no, I'm not having any of it. Leave me alone. Don't attract the attention of your mother. Oh, quick look. No, don't go behind the tree. Stay still. We want another double check that you're a male. Ah, oh, grass. Come on. Out into the open. Good news is that interaction should keep everything visible. No, wait. Okay, now stop. No, now your leg's in the way. Move your leg. Move your leg. Move your leg. No, move your leg. No, seriously, move your leg. No, now stay still. Now stay still. Oh, yes. It is entirely possible to get things wrong when it comes to working out the sex of a hyena cub at this age. Sometimes females do look a little bit like males, and even the researchers who do it every day get it wrong, but I'm pretty certain that looking at that looks like a male genital. Very difficult with hyenas. Yeah, I'm pretty certain we've got a sort of more bulbous tip there. Yes, there we go. Thank you. Perfect. Yeah. I think that is almost certainly. You've got to be careful with hyenas, but almost certainly a male. I think we can safely call it a male. I wasn't actually doubting Tristan. Oh, no. Not you too. June. Here we go. The answer to why it's so wet around the den. Now she's going to lie in it. Well, it is a warm morning and she does have a full belly. Lovely. Very exciting news. We're going to leave our hyenas now, as much as I'm loath to say so. However, we've got something to keep you distracted in the meantime. Let's go across to Pat in the Masai Mara with some lions.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome here to the Mara Triangle in Kenya. We have a young male lion here this morning, and I am Pat. So we have Bongay joining us on camera, and if you have any questions, any comments, please send them in using that hashtag SafariLive or on the YouTube stream. So I am feeling iron like a lion in Zion this morning, but not as iron as this lion here. We have, as I said earlier, a young male, a member of the Ulululu Pride. Sorry, I'm saying that 10 times fast. I'm not sure where the rest of them are. We did have one hanging around sort of where this one is at the moment, but the other 12 or so members of the Pride have eluded us. I can't seem to see them anywhere here, so what they're up to this morning is, as your guess is as good as mine. Now, we did catch up with them briefly yesterday morning. We weren't live, and then we tried to find them again, and once again we could not find them. But they were pretty full yesterday morning, so whether or not they went hunting last night, I'm not really sure. So this one we know is part of the Ulululu Pride because we are in its territory. Now, during the migration, the territories become a lot less defined just because of the absolute abundance of food around. So a lot of the reasons for a territory is food, and without any kind of bounds on the food, any boundaries on food, then all of the lines start to mix. But now that the last of the migration has kind of gone, we are back to a bit more definition in the territories. And this one is controlled by the Ulululu Pride. We've got a bit of a mixed bag of goodies this morning though. On the right, we have some elephants as well. Well, Paula, I actually love it here. I can't even put it into words how beautiful this place is. Our camp is right up on the escarpment, so every morning wake up to this beautiful view of the rolling plains, and the abundance of animals here is insane. There's heaps at Juma, but there's a lot of woodlands and a lot of thickets, so they're a lot harder to come by. But here, I mean, you can see for, you know, probably over a kilometre, 2 kilometres in some cases, so about half to a mile, and there's not really much obstructing vision, so you can really just spot animals anywhere. Just like this morning, I mean, we have a lion, and then 200 metres back we have elephants. So it looks like we have this female here and its child on the left, right there. Now this one was actually pretty brave coming this close to a lion, but perhaps it didn't see it. I wouldn't say this one would be much older than 5 years old. So maybe it's just a bit oblivious at the moment. And is there no better way to start your morning than by looking at these beautiful alleys? They really are such a careless animals. Yes, Lily, they do have pretty big tusks, but they can get even bigger. So this one is a female. Well, actually, it does have very large tusks for a female. Perhaps it's not a female. I just went on that assumption because it has a kid there. But maybe this one's a male because those tusks are very long. And there doesn't seem to be too much of a difference in size of the tusks. Quite often with elephants, you will see that one tusk is shorter than the other. And that is pretty much just like you or me being left or right-handed. So if you'll notice that they will use their dominant tusk more than their non-dominant one. So these ones are just peacefully grazing here in the grass, which we see a lot more here in the Mara than we do back in Juma. Because this time of year in Juma it's very dry, a lot of the grasses are lacking nutrients and water, so the elephants will tend to go for the woody plants and trees. So you'll quite often hear them, probably before you see them, snapping off branches and breaking trees and just leaving a path of destruction in their wake. But these ones here, they have a lot of fresh pasture to graze on, so they like to eat the grass here. James, my favourite African animal? Ooh, that is a tough question. So far, it would have to be a toss-up between the lions and the elephants. And that's not just because of what I'm seeing right now. They are, well, they're on opposite ends of the spectrum in a way, but I find them both very peaceful and quite easy to connect with, particularly the elephants, because of their close association with the whales, which is my domain, being a marine biologist. But yeah, just looking at elephants and seeing, I don't know, not the anthropomorphization of them, but I don't know, there's just something about them that's very human in a way. You can tell that they have complex emotions and that they kind of are curious and understand a lot of things. But having said all that, there's still so many more cool animals out here, and I'm just so blessed and so excited to find them and see them all. Sorry, I just had a bit of a break-up with comms there. Can I please get that repeated? Yes, Philip, I think when I see a honey badger, I will be hooked on them. Unfortunately, I haven't seen one in the flesh yet. I was sitting in final control when Brent had a big hour-long sighting of one, and just hearing the excitement in his voice makes me know that they are a cool creature to encounter. And watching all those funny YouTube videos on honey badgers has just made me want to see them even more. So I'm definitely going to keep my eyes open for one of those, scratching around in the dirt. So these elephants are looking pretty active this morning. They are moving around quite a bit. And yes, thank you everyone. They all agree that he's a female elephant, just must have large tusks. So that will probably benefit this little one as well by having more defence there. It is getting quite warm this morning, very quick. Probably about time to take off my jumper actually. It's warming up quickly here. Now elephants, they don't have jumpers that they can put on and take off, and they don't have sweat glands really either. So for them to cool down, they have big blood vessels in the back of their, or a big network of blood vessels in the back of their thin ears that they use to cool down. Well, let's leave these peaceful creatures behind and head back over to Juma, where Sydney has found Hosanna.
So you can see Hosanna is now again back in the drainage. So he went to the other side of the drainage. He did not feel comfortable. He crossed again to the other side. He was not comfortable. Now he's back in the middle of the drainage. But at least he's at the beginning of the drainage where I am, which is much more open compared to where he was earlier this morning. So these cats, they like to come and sleep here by the drainage because you can see drainage creates quite a lot of shade for them. Because the side walls, when the sun is coming out, you can see there that there is a shade. When the sun is setting, during the daytime as well, there's some trees which are green a little bit there where he can have some shade. And the temperature is moist there compared to the outer side of the drainage. So you can see that this cat had a lot because there was just 2 nyalas there which died a few days ago, and he has been eating all those nyalas. Yes, he was sharing with the other scavengers such as the hyenas. Sky, Tingana, the last time I saw him, it was a few days ago. Tingana caught a nyala before Hosanna came here. He caught a nyala and he was feeding on that nyala, a big nyala, just for one night. After that night in the morning, Tingana decided to leave the nyala with Hosanna. They were both at the same tree and they were challenging each other a little bit, fighting for food. But Tingana, when he got off the tree, Hosanna was climbing, and Tingana stopped and looked at Hosanna and did not do anything and just decided to give him a chance. But the food was too little left there. After that, Tingana got disappeared. I haven't heard him sowing. He might be maybe in Buffalo's Hook, or else he must be somewhere by the southern side of the game reserve. His stomach was big when I last saw him, so I'm sure he was resting because he ate a lot. So you can see that he is now just lying and showing his whiskers there. So if you cut the whiskers on these cats, you are going to disorientate them. The whiskers helps these cats in order to detect the surrounding. Those are very much strong sense organs. They've got what is called the proprioceptors at the tip of these whiskers, which is connected to the brain and the nerve organs. So the sensory organs can get information straight in the body from those whiskers there. Some of the whiskers, if you look on top of the eyes, you will see these animals. Cats have got whiskers there and also at the back of the front legs. So they serve the same purpose. just by using the whiskers, they can detect the size of the coming animal, the direction, and they will know that this animal is coming from this side, going to which side. And it helps them as well to measure the space at night in between the branches. So the whiskers serve as an important tool for the survival of these animals. So it's also connected to the nervous coordination. So they know when to avoid something very quickly, getting the message from the whiskers through the brain. So you can see the breathing rate now that he is trying. When he's compressing like that, it helps at least to arrange the food in the stomach. This looks big. So digestive system has to work hard in order to dissolve what has been eaten here. But I think the digestive system to the carrions. So the digestive system to the carrions, the dead animals who has been there for a while, must be very fast because the meat is not stiff compared to the fresh animal. So now let's go to Brent, who is still on a guided walk.
Still guidedly searching for Thandi, and we are checking every single spot where we might get a bit of sign, but unfortunately no luck just yet. I was hoping along here, just parallel to the Mawati. The Mawati is just to the west of us here, that we might find some tracks. Now, the reason I'm checking this area so thoroughly is we haven't found any tracks coming out, but with all these dead Inyala around, she might have lucked upon one just like Osana has. So basically just zigzagging, looking for tracks, but at the same time hoping that maybe she's found a dead Inyala or dead bushbuck and she's managed to hoist it. So that's why we're checking very carefully through these areas. She was last seen just around here. Now, she could have walked 2 kilometers, she could have walked 10 kilometers, she could have walked 200 meters. And with the ground being so hard, particularly in this area, and quite a lot of grass cover, we're hoping for a bit of luck, but mostly what we're working off here is our intuition. We know there's a lot of dead Inyalas, and they're not going to find those dead Inyalas up on the crests. We've checked, she hasn't gone that way. So they're going to find dead Inyalas around the riverine thickets where the Inyalas like to hang out. So fingers crossed that Thandi's found herself a free meal and brought little Kalamba along to see it and eat it, of course. But so we're just going to keep moving slowly along the edge of the river here, where we get a bit of an open patch like this where we've got a chance to see tracks. We come out onto it, we check for as long as we can, then we duck back onto the edge of the river. So Tracy says Thandi is playing hide and seek with us. Yes, Thandi is the best at hide and seek of all our leopards. So Hasana is the worst at hide and seek. So we're hoping that today is our day and we actually managed to find her. Where's that bird? It sounded like it was very close. If it's very close, I might ask. Very pretty bird calling. Orange-breasted bushshrike. Sounds like it's right in that spike-thorn thicket though. Ah, there it goes. It's just flown into that quarry. Very pretty bird if we can get a view of it. One of the more difficult ones to get a view on. Oh, there's 2 of them on vehicle, let alone bushwalk. So let's put Batman to the test. Ah, both of them flew off. Not much we can do about that. Now, I know Jamie's left the hyena den. We've asked her to just double check Drakensberg Road up to the east of us to make sure Thandi didn't go that way. So let's go see how she's doing.
I'm just getting to that area. I'm actually going to just double check up a road called Hyena Road. ironically. I had to wrench myself away from the hyenas, but we do have a TV show this afternoon or this evening, and Brent in the past has gone to extraordinary lengths to help us find animals, even when he hasn't participated in TV shows. So it's only fair that we return the favor. So we know that, we think that, touch wood, Hosanna will stick around, so Sydney will be with him. And that's just the way that our thinking works, is at least we can have an idea as to where the other animals are. And it looks as though the lions have abandoned us this week. They sound like they're to the north of us. So we're going to have to slowly cruise along and perhaps just get lucky and catch up with Tundi. That's why we've had to drag ourselves reluctantly. If I had feet, I would have dragged them on the ground. I did a bad thing. I felt so terrible. I gave Pretty a little bit of a fright. I didn't realize she was actually there. She was lying hidden behind a bush, and as I drove past, I was driving slowly, but she was right there, and I gave her such a shock. She jumped up and glared at me indignantly. I really didn't mean to. I just didn't see her. She was so well hidden, surprisingly well hidden for a hyena. So she didn't ninja bomb. She was there. She was just asleep with a very big belly. Okay, Tundi, come on, now's your chance. Now's your moment. Everyone wants to see you. Ah, Paula, that's a very good point. I have seen very few warthogs, now that you mention it. I can't remember how many warthogs we used to see before I left. I don't think that many. I think we saw more warthogs in the Mara, but I haven't seen that many piggies since I got back. I don't know if the drought has quite negatively affected, or the sort of several years of low rainfall has perhaps affected their population. I'll keep an eye out for piggies. There should be baby piggies wandering about very soon, also known as piglets, if you would like to use the official terminology. Complex word, I know. And we'll keep an eye out for little piglets. Baby piggies. No, piggies is better. There's going to be little piggies soon. I should actually be going slower on this road. Child of the Universe has given me a hint as to what happened to the warthogs. It wasn't the dry season at all. It was Hukumuri. He ate all the piggies. Hukumuri did... I mean, I've never actually seen Hukumuri. He arrived just after I left. But he did have something of a reputation as a warthog catcher. Yesterday on my walk, I was looking at all the aardvark burrows and hoping to see some fresh signs of aardvark, because then I'm going to spend one night sitting staring at the burrows waiting for an aardvark to come out. But they were all occupied by warthogs, so they're around. There's a warthog? Ah, Hukumuri. Sen says that Hukumuri is a warthog specialist. Senzo would know, of course, having filmed the extraordinary sight of Hukumuri grabbing a warthog running out of a burrow. He is familiar with Hukumuri's hunting technique. This is a horrible road for tracks. Even in this nice morning sunlight, and this is the nicest light for tracking, it's starting to get harsh, but this particular road is very, very compacted, and it makes it difficult to pick up on tracks, especially just one set of tracks crossing the road. I'm going to keep following up and see if I can help Brenty out. Apparently, the new vegetarian craze has struck, and Hosanna is its next victim.
So you can see that Hosanna is slowly becoming a vegetarian. So you can see that he's now feeding a lot on these grasses here. And this is what he has been doing a lot also yesterday. So this started happening shortly after he was drinking the stomach juices from these dead nyalas. So you can see that to be a vegetarian is not easy. He is not used to eat a lot of grass. And what works best is the green grass. The green grass has got a very a kind of a rough texture. The rough texture there helps them in order to wash out those tapeworms. So if you look at the grasses, they've got rough texture because they have got a parallel vein. So the veins of the grasses are parallel. They are not like the leaves from the trees, which is like a network vein. So if you check the grasses, the parallel veins is the one that helps them because they are very much rough like a sandpaper. But it's difficult to see the vein system at the moment because the grasses are very much dry. This cat, they eat meat. It's just that the grasses, it's not part of their diet. So the grasses are just there when they're experiencing problems, only with the endoparasites. So their diet is consisted of meat. So they're just doing it for medicinal purposes. It's like us, when we've got a problem with something, we can solve it with a traditional medicine, but it doesn't mean it's something that we are depending on every day. It's like just a headache tablet. It's something that we use only when we are experiencing problems, just to relieve a pain, and then that's it. So now I am going to carry on because I can see that he went up again on this drainage, so I must have to move on so that we can see him much better. The sun is getting strong at the moment. Maybe where he was as well, the sun was starting to get very strong. I can see he's there now, still busy grazing at the moment. So it's still in the middle of the drainage. So you can see that the standing position and the movement of the head, and the head carried much lower, he's still doing the same. So it means there he is now trying to get hold of the grasses. Rosemary, he needs some tea in order to help him. Unfortunately now I can see he's eating the fresh green grass now. You will see it. You will see him nicely from here. Now his focus is on green grass. So the green grass works the most compared to the dry grass. So maybe we're going to have a good sighting there. Yeah, you can see he's eating the green grass now. If you look there, you can see there's some green grass there on that one. So he's just mixing both dry and the fresh grass. So now he's following the texture of the leaf in order to assist with the removal of those internal parasites. So now let's go to Pet by the Masai Mara, who's got the largest predator as well. He's got the lions at the moment.
From one cat to another, here we are back with the Ulululu Pride. We have crossed the little gully that we were sitting against because we spotted more over here. So I think we've seen about 5 of the Pride now. So there's still quite a few missing. I'm not sure where they are, but we are slowly piecing them together. It looks like we have another young male here sitting up on a termite mound, as they so love to do. And we can just start to see a little bit of a mane starting to form there. And this is going to serve him well later on in life. Well, maybe not serve him well. I've been reading up on lion manes lately, and it's quite interesting that they think that the lion's mane is actually kind of negatively impacting the lion itself in a way, because you'll see the big dominant males, they have really dark coloured manes, whereas the not so dominant ones will be blonde and lighter. And they think the reason for this is that it's obviously going to absorb and trap in a lot more heat, and if the lion can't deal with this heat, then there's no point in him being dominant. So if the mane wasn't so long, or was a bit of a lighter colour, so it didn't trap in so much more heat, it would be able to do things a lot more easily. So pretty much the lion's mane is, well, from what these studies are saying, is a test for the lion to see if it can overcome all these challenges whilst borderline overheating. So that's a pretty interesting concept there. And you will see sometimes that the lion will not even develop a mane either, which would be very unfortunate for them. Lola, sorry, I just answered that question as you told it to me, but no, not all lions will grow manes. Lionesses you won't see with manes, unless there was a very odd case of a bearded lady, but no, generally not for lionesses. And some of the male lions will also not develop manes. Sometimes they'll be small, sometimes they'll be light, and sometimes they may not be present at all. But generally, if you see a good solid dark mane, then you can pretty much guess that it's going to be the dominant male. Now, as to whether this one is going to grow up and be the dominant male, I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to gauge when they're younger, especially when you don't see them around other lions. Sometimes you will see kind of dominant displays between siblings, but it is really hard to say for this one. And we can see that it's still got some pretty prominent spots there as well. That's another interesting thing about lions, is the fact that their spots kind of fade with age. Jeanette, that's actually a really good question, and something I haven't considered. I haven't actually looked into it, but let's work through this one. They do clean themselves. They are clean animals. This is, well, predominantly to reduce their smell as well, so prey can't see them coming or smell them coming. So they do groom themselves and they do clean themselves. So I could only assume that some hair would accumulate through this process, and yeah, perhaps they do have big hairballs that they cough up. I'm going to have to actually go back and look that one up though. But I could only assume that they can. So back to the spots. That's a really good way to show that, see that these ones aren't fully grown, they're not adults yet. They will retain some of the spots on the underside and on their legs, but they do fade and become a lot less prominent as they age. What a beautiful animal though. So peaceful, but so deadly at the same time. You could almost go up and give him a scratch behind the ear, but that would not be advised in any circumstance. So it's a bit hard to see the belly at the moment. It doesn't look too full, but perhaps they have been hunting. Sammy Jane, you came across a gross lion hairball? That's what I think I heard. Well, there you have it. So they do cough up hairballs. So they're not that different from felines after all, from little cats. Which I suppose would be expected, really, if you're grooming yourself and others as well. There's something you also observe in lions, is that they won't just groom themselves. They will clean others. And it's kind of a sign of affection as well. They'll lick at each other. So I guess those big gross hairballs would be not just their own hair, but the collection of others' hair as well. That's a icky thought. Yes, lots of hairy poo as well. They are carnivorous animals, Caroline. So, yes, when the hair that they don't digest comes straight through and out the other end. So, I guess they have hair coming out of both ends, whilst also growing on their skin. So, to guess the age of this lion, I wouldn't say it's much older than 2 years old. It hasn't left the pride yet, or been kicked out of the pride yet. Being a young male, that will happen eventually. But the fact that it hasn't means that it must be still quite a youngster. And it was earlier, it was kind of looking at something. It was staring quite intently before we came live. So we'll stand by and see if it does spot anything. But while we're doing that, let's go to Brent, who is on the search for Tundi.
And search we do, but still no luck. Now, we've been talking about all the dead in Nyala and kudu and bushbuck, and there's actually quite a simple way to test. Wow. Guarri, is a high tannin tree, or bush as normal, but that is ridiculous. Almost instantly dries out my mouth, numbing almost like a spike thorn does. So for Guarri, is like that now. I hate to think what a spike thorn is like. The spike thorn's already high in tannin, so is a Guarri. But if a Guarri is this tanniny now, it's no wonder that all those animals are having such a tough time. Well, let's try the next one. These could be okay. Nice fresh shoots on a bush willow. No, it's still incredibly high tannin. Blech. Blech. Not nice at all. So, I mean, we've tasted now a Guarri and a bush willow, and they're both incredibly tanniny. The bush willow is not normally that tanniny. Let's go have a look over here quickly. Co-pastors are making them hungry. Well, trust me, you don't want to be eating on this. Now, again, another combretum, this time a leadwood. And just judging from the fact that these new shoots, I mean, instantly, it's a little bit better than the Guarri, but not much. But also the thing is, interestingly enough, even though we've got brand new shoots here coming out, there's very little feeding sign. And if we actually, this is quite interesting. So I'm just going to go around you, Craig, so I don't want to stand on a big thorn. This is quite interesting, yeah. If I come have a look, what is this? This is a little Pultiforum by the looks of things. Weeping wattle. And this, which is not a commonly browsed tree, has been browsed quite heavily. Okay, let's taste the next leaf. It's tanniny. Quite bad, but not nearly as bad as the other three we've tasted so far. So what we're going to do, I think now, I'm not even going to try a spike thorn. I don't want to put myself through that horror. Because Kirsten says, why don't I try Timberti? Kirsten, why don't you use Timberti milk in your tea as my answer to you? It's because it will make me highly ill and noxious. So. Elizabeth, the tannin levels are going to drop with more nutrients, so we need more rain, pretty much. Okay. So we're still searching all these little river systems that the Nyala are dying around, and hoping that Tundi has found herself. hello, hyena. Very difficult to see, but that is actually a hyena track. There's the back pad and the toes. We're hoping that Thandi has found herself a free meal somewhere in these parts. It's starting to heat up. And I think I'm actually going to take a stroll down this riverbed, see if we get any luck on the softer sand, because we're definitely not getting luck with tracks on the harder ground. So while we do that, let's go see if Jamie's had any luck with Thandi tracks.
I'm sorry, Brenty. I've got no news. I mean, the plants around us are full of tannins, but not full of Thandi. And it's quite devastating, really. There's not a single Thandi in any tree. So we're searching. Actually, that reminds me of something. Just reminded me of something. There's a time that Steph knew about Karula and so on, but he wasn't necessarily, because he didn't drive as often as we did. He really only walked. And I can't remember what had happened, but he didn't know that there was a leopard called Thandi. And one of the lovely ladies who cooks for us, who is our chef, is called Thandi. And he was fed through information by the director that I was looking for Thandi. And then they linked across to him, and he went, I don't quite know why Jamie's looking for Thandi. I don't know what she's looking. Does she want a meal? What is she after? He was very befuddled as to why I was using my professional live safari drive time to search for the chef. He was quite convinced I was out in Juba somewhere searching for Thandi. Kirsty says now every time she asks him for a link, she says Thandi the leopard, just to make sure that we don't have that same level of confusion once again. Oh, Steph. You did have some moments. I mean, this is said with great affection and with great understanding. That's exactly what I was going to go with. So Kirst has asked me to tell the story I was about to tell, so I'm glad we're on the same page. This is, I should clarify, gentle teasing done with great affection and with understanding, because I've done it myself. But Steph had never done an opening of a show with "This is Safari Live." You know, talk, this is Safari Live. Very dramatic. And we were doing a rehearsal, and Steph was on foot, and not one vehicle had content. We did not have a single animal. And so Kirst decided to open with Steph this rehearsal, but he hadn't ever done an opening. So she said to him, no, you must just say "This is Safari Live." So the rehearsal starts, and we all watched it afterwards, as we do, because we review our rehearsals. And it's just Steph awkwardly standing next to Nyala, and the camera goes to Steph, and he goes, "This is Safari Live. And this is in Nyala. And my name is Steph, and we're on June, and this is Safari Live." It was so magic. It was beautiful. And Kirsty's going, "No, keep talking, Steph, keep talking." Because of course the "This is Safari Live" was the cue to our opening title sequence, which she couldn't very well start playing with 5 seconds of Steph's face. Oh, memories. Steph. We've all done really stupid things during rehearsal, or accidental things. I mean, there was the time that James drove over a stick, and I wish I knew. Yes, Brent falling out of the tree, that was a good one that happened during a rehearsal. He tumbled out of that massive balanites on Balanites Junction. He slid all the way down. James drove over a log once that flew up and smacked him in the face. What other things have happened during rehearsals? I can't remember. I can't think of any things that you haven't seen or been involved in. Obviously we've had funny moments live, but those are the moments that you don't necessarily get to see. What were we all laughing at the other day? It was hysterical. Chitty Chatty Meg says that we need rehearsal bloopers. I couldn't agree more. We'll have to request it from our loved production team. I'm sure there must be some somewhere, although we've got so slick now. You know, we're just that good that the bloopers don't keep coming anymore. It's quite sad. I will never ever forget. Yes, James did get attacked by a bungee cord. That was quite serious though. That was nasty. Shame. He really almost got walloped. He nearly hurt his eye quite badly. Can't remember what I was going to say now. Forgotten. Got derailed by James's bungee cord incident. Tandy, I know you're here. The leopard. I'm looking for the leopard. Apparently last night Brent didn't realize he was doing the credits and just stopped talking. He just silently... Brent, of course, had a moment long ago where he went... where I went silent when we used to do the last 60 seconds, and Brent made an off-piece comment about a rabid hyena, a story he loves to tell repeatedly. Look, an animal. Not Tandy, though. Neither the chef nor the leopard. 2 animals. They're so cute. I was going to stop at dwarf mongoose earlier, but then I wasn't live and I realized I had ground to cover, so I ignored them. So at least we've got to catch up with this group. I cannot resist making squeaking noises when I stop at these animals, and I know I shouldn't, because they don't really respond to me at all. Oh, am I boring you? Big yawn, showing off those insect-catching teeth. And snake... I can't think how I was going to try and phrase that. Snake fangs. In other words, teeth that catch snakes was what I was trying to say, but it came out completely pear-shaped. For those of you that do not know, perhaps we have some new viewers on board, this is a dwarf mongoose. So, as its name suggests, the smallest species of mongoose that we get out here, and one of the more social species. So we get the banded and the dwarf mongoose are both social. The rest of the mongoose species are solitary. So you only really see them in groups when they're mating or when they are with offspring. I love snacks. Gee, thank you. I love snacks says that there's a video of a dwarf mongoose playing dead that we should see. Yes, I am familiar. I'm pretty certain I am aware of the video that you are referring to with the amazing Taylor McCurdy. It was hilarious. Oh my word. I assume you know that I've seen that video and that I've laughed along with the rest of the world. Taylor's giggles. Oh, beautiful moment. Never ever seen that behavior. It was, of course, trying to invite the hornbill to play with it, youngster. It was absolutely hysterical and really interesting, unique behavior. And the hornbill looked so confused. What are you doing, you crazy animal? Go find me some food. Dwarf mongoose, of course, for those of you that don't know, have quite a special relationship with hornbills. Certain groups of dwarf mongoose have relationships with certain... whether they're yellow-billed or red-billed, usually yellow-billed hornbills. And what they do basically is they forage together. So the hornbills get the scraps that the dwarf mongoose have left behind, and the dwarf mongoose get the benefit of an extra or several extra pairs of eyes to keep an eye out for predators. So it's a nice sort of mutually beneficial relationship that they've got going on, to the point that mongoose, if the hornbills are late, will be reluctant to leave their dens or their burrows before the hornbills return. And if the mongoose are having a sleep-in and the hornbills show up, they'll actually go and go into the entrance to the den. Those of us that have lived in the bush for a long time are very familiar with that sound, and often very unappreciative of that sound, especially when it's accompanied by "toch" as the hornbill smashes its head against your window. Very distressing when you're having your one morning off and trying desperately to defeat your body clock's desire to get up at 3:30 in the morning, only to be interrupted by "doof" hornbill thudding its beak against the window. Dwarf mongoose have now vanished. Let's go find Tandy. Come on. We have work to do. None of this sitting around. Otherwise we shall not eat. Right. While we search for Tundi, the leopard, let's go across to Hosana, the leopard, that is.
So now from where I am, it's quite a bit difficult to see Hosana nicely. I can see now he's very relaxed in the middle of the drainage. He moved forward a little bit, and where he is, he might be here for the rest of the day. You can see now he is on a sleeping mood. So you can only just see the rosette spot there shining from the ground at the moment. So he's just lying down flat. So what I'm thinking about to do here now is to leave him and see if we can check and try to find Tingana. Maybe we might be lucky with him, because I can see now where Hosana is lying down is difficult. So that will be my next plan after this sighting, because now we are not going to have a good sighting anymore. So it's resting time now. He's not doing anything. He has been lying down there for the couple minutes and not doing anything. So I must have to go and see if we can find another cat. Let me go and try the possibilities of finding Tingana. So I am on a steep-sided slope here, and there is a green thorn. This green thorn has got very big thorns. I must have to be very careful here. I got caught. Now let's go to Brent.
Well, we're still in the Moati, hoping for any sign of a cat. There are hyena tracks everywhere. Oh, some vultures waking up. But again, vultures at the moment are just not a good indicator of a big cat or a predator. It's just these, with the die-off of the browsers, the vultures and hyenas are having the best time. And Hosana, for that matter. And who knows, maybe Tundi and Tingana are sitting somewhere in a thicket with a dead inyala of their own. But those vultures are just waking up, not dropping down. Depressed is wondering what is the closest I've been to a leopard on foot. Well, here at Djuma, I must say I've probably been from here to there, to the end of my stick. From Hosana, from Shongile, from Karula, from Tingana. Yeah, but the only time I've ever been closer to a leopard than that was south in the Sand River, and I was walking through the Sand River and I was following a pair of mating leopards trying to figure out where they were going. It was the Camp Pan male and Shidulu, a different Shidulu, not the Shidulu. I'm pretty sure that Shidulu is long dead. And I was looking, my head was down, I was looking at the tracks, and I looked up on a bank, yeah, probably about half a meter at eye level. I looked up and I looked straight into the eyes of one of the biggest male leopards I've ever seen, similar size to Hokomuri. I mean, not Hokomuri, Anderson. Absolute monster called the Cap Pan male. And I just sort of closed my eyes down like this. And I said to my tracker, I'm 4. No, Simon said to me, I'm 4, don't move. I was like, yes, I know. But I can't stand here all day, Simon. So after it felt like about 20 minutes, it was probably about 15 seconds, I just sort of turned away, like slowly moved off. But that was the closest I've ever been to a leopard, the Camp Pan male. But I've been very close to a lot of these leopards while tracking. Tundi I've even been under 5 meters with. Because what happens is often when you're tracking a leopard and it sees that there's not really a chance to escape, and there's a little thicket like this, they'll just crouch down and disappear into it. So all of a sudden you're looking at the tracks, and the tracks go here, and you're like, oh, leopard, and you just do turn away, pretend you haven't seen them, because of course they're relying on camouflage. If I start staring at her at close range, you're going, oh, leopard, 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 she's probably going to get upset. She might get a bit snarly, or she's going to run away. Both of which we don't want. So the ground is so the ground is so hard around up on top that's why we're walking in the actual riverbed itself to try see if we can find tracks. As I say, just everywhere we go there's hyena tracks, hyena tracks, hyena tracks, hyena tracks. Indigo Girl says the camp pan male was a good looking leopard. He was a beautiful boy. Now he's been dead for a few years now, unfortunately. Small hyena tracks that made me stop for a second. But the hyenas seem to have walked every single patch of Djuma today. But it's still lovely to have a Sunday morning walk in the riverbed. See what we can see. Now, a favourite amongst the browsers is of course the acacias. And now this is the splendid thorn. But again, it doesn't look like it's been grazed too much, so I'm wondering with either these, much more delicate a job picking these than our very high in tannins. Still high in tannins, not nearly as bad as the others though. From the leaves I've tasted this morning, this is probably the best. And before Kirsten says anything, I will put Timberti in your tea, Kirsten. Tracy is wondering, what is the best natural bush plant I've ever eaten? Oof, that's a difficult question. There's some wonderful stuff out there. Gwimbi in southern Tanzania. It's similar to potato, but it's pink and white. And you chop it up and fry it like chips. It's quite a treat. Okay, we're going to keep sneaking along in the Moati riverbed, hoping to find any sign of our beloved Tandakile. While we do that, Jamie's got some birds who are busy, probably trying to impress their girlfriends.
Look at this. This is so cool. The red-headed weaver indeed trying to impress its girlfriend. Speaking of which, you must remind me to tell the story of the prawns. But there we go, the red-headed weaver. He is furiously at work constructing the intricate nest design that gives weavers their name, of course, as a family. Each and every different species of weaver has a slightly differently shaped nest, but most of them tend to hang them right off the tips of the branches of trees. And in this case, it's a Balanites tree that he has chosen, and he is being watched very closely by the beady eye of the female. Now, she might... Everything hangs on this nest, quite literally. His hopes and dreams of a future and a family depend upon his skill when it comes to nest building. And by the way, great camera work from Senzo, because that thing's just blowing in the wind. Isn't he beautiful? She, well, not... Oh! Are you checking out the stability there? Making sure it's structurally sound? Don't know if it passed the test. She didn't tear it apart, so it could have been worse. Now, he might have the bright, attractive plumage, but it's the lady who gets all the say in how this all plays out. He is so pretty compared to her. This is so cool. I mean, he might even have attracted some other girls, so if she gets too picky, poor Seds. Sorry, Seds. Mrs. Grumpy, you say that this is a scene from a cartoon. I know. How beautifully framed is he when he sits in the middle of his nest that he's worked so hard to build, and his lady watching alongside him. I know, it's perfect. It's like an old Disney cartoon. They just don't make cartoons like they used to these days. It's all catchy theme tunes, and I don't know where I was going with that. I really don't. I think some of the animated movies produced recently are absolutely spectacular. Test, well done, well done. Number 88 on the bird list, the red-headed weaver. Very easy to identify the male, due largely to his red head. Once again, ornithologists proving that they have a special gift when it comes to naming birds. There he is, perfectly timed. Well played, Senzo. It was a good gamble, that was. And he's got a piece of grass, a piece of stick, now he's got to weave it in. No, that's useless. That's never going to stay in place. Come on, do the job properly or you're never going to get a girlfriend. Everyone knows the way to a female red-headed weaver's heart is to build her a home. I know, I'm also rooting for him. Just redheads in general, says Kirst, the ultimate redhead. Yes, chase them away. They cannot steal your nest. Make sure that no one sits on it and breaks it. Come on, dude, you can do it. Oh, now there's absolute chaos. The females come in. What's she going to do? She's inspecting it, making it rock all over the show. This poor weaver. The odds are so stacked against him. Oh, and he flew away. Sen's doing an amazing job of actually trying to keep track of these little birds. Oh, chaos! Oh, no, you can't chase the female away. That's not a good call. I think he's worried she's going to break it. I don't know where she's gone now. It's not ready yet. He's sent her away. It's meant to be a surprise. Now, the reason that nest is constructed in that way, weaved so delicately up against it, right on the very tip of a branch, is because it's one way in which it makes it very difficult for predators to get hold of it. So a harrier hawk, for example, which is a notorious nest raider, would find it very difficult to, actually would find it impossible to grip onto the sticks and twigs surrounding that nest in order to reach in and grab the chick. And even for snakes, it would be very, very difficult for them. That branch wouldn't necessarily bear their weight all the way down to the nest. So essentially what the red-headed weaver does, and what weavers in general do, is they take a chance on this whole process, and they basically work on the assumption that predators are not going to risk themselves by going all the way out onto the end of that branch. If they do, of course, the entire branch is going to break, and down will come baby, cradle and all. Down will come chick, nest and all. Where'd he go? He went. No, he's coming back. He's coming back. There he goes. And he's back into the nest. Carol, I think it's a little bit of a mixture of both. I mean, you know, Carol wants to know if the female's attracted to his nest or to his looks. Now, there's a reason that he is bright red in colour. It obviously is a sign of health and virility that the female appreciates. There's a reason why in some birds you've got males with much brighter coloured plumage than the females. Not all birds take that approach, but red-headed weavers are one such example. So she's attracted to his looks, probably first of all, and then to his nest-building potential secondly. Once again, a potential parallel in human behaviour, or at least certain humans, attracted to looks first, and then the capacity is the breadwinner. I'm not allowed to say these things. I'm going to get myself into such trouble one day. Dory, I think that's a lovely idea, especially because we actually spend quite a lot of time on cheetah cutline. Oh, we should come back to inspect it. Here he comes. Oh. He's actively chasing her away. He's moved up into the branches. It's almost impossible for Sens to keep track of him. He is so fast on his wings. But yes, we check cheetah cutlines so regularly, I don't see why we can't stop by and check on the progress of his nest every day. He's doing such an amazing job. I think he's gone for nest building materials, the equivalent of a trip to the local hardware store. I need a bit of this, and I need a bit of that, and that won't do. Not the right colour, not the right thickness. Perhaps that's better. What have we got there? No, that won't do either. Charlotte, he should be done in around about 4 or so days, depending on how industrious he is. Sometimes they suffer terrible setbacks, especially when the female decides that it is not ready for habitation, or it's not going to work, at which point she pulls it down and he starts again. I watched a weaver outside my mum's house in Johannesburg when I was staying with her a little while back construct a nest. Hey, you horrible little bird. Shame. Leave his nest alone. He's trying so hard. He's breaking his back for you. Don't be so hypercritical. Kirst has raised a very good point, in that none of us could really have made this nest, and we all have thumbs. Well, she said specifically she couldn't, and that she has thumbs. But it applies across the board. It looks messy, but it is actually beautifully constructed. You're not making his life any easier. You can see how it's bobbing around. That's because the female keeps giving him instructions. Not there. No, you idiot, not there. Oh, shame. He's the definition of henpecked, and he hasn't even got a chance to mate with her yet. He hasn't even sealed the deal, and he's getting nonsense from her. Now she's making the whole thing rock sideways. Imagine how motion sick he must feel. I often wonder if birds, they clearly don't get motion sick, but I marvel at it on windy days. Imagine being a chick growing up in the nest. It must be like a baby born on a boat. I wonder if the first time they touch solid ground with their feet, they feel a little bit woozy, like the ground is rocking. Look how much of a perfectionist he is. Come on, buddy. We're all on your side, I promise. You can do it. Do it neatly and thoroughly, and you'll only have to do it once. John says the female must be shouting at him. Is it done yet? I agree. I think she is truly... She's offering him criticism from she's being a backseat nest weaver. Not quite sure how you would phrase that. And at the same time, she's trying to hurry him along. If it were a different scenario, I'd be saying perhaps she's got some buns in the oven, so to speak, and she really needs that house built as quickly as possible, but that's not how it works. She won't let him mate with her until she's satisfied that he's done a good job. Okay. Cool. He appears to have departed once again. He's gone to go and... I think what he's actually trying to do, he's not chasing her away. She keeps taunting him, and he's thinking, oh, maybe she will let me mate with her. No, no such luck. All right, well, I'll go back to building the nest. Checking it out. Hang up, that's called the Weaver hanging test. If the nest can sustain your weight while perched upside down and bouncing around, it is fit for further construction. The standardized Weaver nest test. Sometimes we give ourselves such ridiculous tongue twisters. It is a very high maintenance bird. She hasn't helped at all, which of course she doesn't. She has been described as a real twitch. He's back again. Putting back all the branches that she's completely dismantled. There we go. That one better go up top. It's quite a large one. It'll do well for stabilizing the hanging point. I'm seasick just watching him. I was going to tell you the story of the prawns. Brent came to visit me once, way back long ago, and it was the very first time he'd come to visit me. He bought a kilogram of prawns. It with great excitement, because Brent loves to cook. It's a way that he loves cooking, and he's very good at it. And his speciality is seafood, which of course is in very short supply in the area in which we live. We're very far from the sea. Anyway, he went out of his way to buy prawns. I, of course, am deathly allergic to shellfish. I will die if I eat shellfish. He was so crestfallen when I had to tell him that the beautiful prawn meal that he was going to prepare was off the cards. I don't know why I've drawn parallels between this, the weaver's efforts, and the prawn story, but I think it's there somewhere. Kirst is not convinced. He's been such a perfectionist. I really hope he succeeds. It's so devastating when they don't. I was talking about watching the one outside my mum's place in Johannesburg, and I watched this poor guy work for hours every single day until he finally finished his nest, and the next day it had blown off the tree and was lying on the ground. And he just coerced a female into checking it out. And it blew off the tree that night, and he had to start again from scratch. Goodness gracious, jumping around all over the show. Pat's had a chance to say hello to you from the Masai Mara. It appears as though he has switched seats, and now Goli is going to take you on a drive from the Mara.
Good morning to you all, beautiful people. Welcome to SafariLive Sunrise Safari. We are coming to you live from Kenya, Mara Triangle. We're having a very exciting sighting this morning. We started with the lions, now we are with the buffaloes. They were all over this river, all over the river, but something triggered them and they moved away. We can look from our far right there. We have a lot of buffaloes coming to the river. Some are still coming, but the ones who are here, they moved away from the river. I don't know what happened. Maybe there's a predator there. And earlier on, we had the zebras alarming. But I don't see anything that might put this herd in danger. This is a very big herd. I can't even count these buffaloes. We have the male, the females, the youngsters. Oh, Jerry, what a good question there. Do buffaloes smell like cows? More or less the same, yes. Because before I saw them, I've smelled them. They're smelling like cows. Yeah, I have cows at where I'm from. We have a lot of cows. We take them to the forest every day, every morning. They smell the same because they eat the same food. They are both herbivores. Probably they'll be smelling the same. What's happening here? It's nice because some are coming to the water, some are moving away to the water. As you can see, I'm looking for some buffaloes, which maybe they might be wallowing. We have one there wallowing in the river there. Bungai, can we please look at the buffalo there in the river? Can you get it? Yes, this one is wallowing. This helps the buffalo to cool down the temperature, because the sun is coming up now and it's hot. It's about 17 degrees Celsius this morning. That's approximately 62 to 63 degrees Fahrenheit. So for any questions and comments, you can catch us on SafariLive, on Twitter or YouTube chat stream. this is a male buffalo. You can see the horns there in the paws where these horns meet. I'm sure it's feeling awesome there because it's hot and it's deep in the water there. Some are busy looking at us and sniffing. I don't know whether they feel threatened by us or they're trying to smell some danger. Oh, Jack, the buffaloes, no, they didn't cross the Mara River. They are in the Mara River. They're into it. They haven't crossed yet. They're coming from the other side to the river. They haven't crossed yet. I think they will be crossing, but that might not be possible because something triggered them and they moved from where they're coming from. But I'll wait and see whether if they do cross or not. Hopefully they will cross. We might see something interesting this morning. This is interesting. And look how close they are from us. Let's leave the buffaloes and quickly go to Jamie in Djuma.
Surprise! Guess what we found? Ask and you shall receive. In this case, we had a request for a warthog sighting, and there you go. Magically managed to deliver, largely because we're driving next to the fire break. In other words, an area that's been burnt recently in order to stop the spread of wildfires, and now that it's rained, it is the best place for the animals to gather because the green shoots are just that much greener, just that much sweeter, and just that much bigger on the burnt section. Of course, it does promote growth. So there we go, a warthog feeding on what looked like it's sort of its knees, but it's actually its wrist joints. So it's bent forward over there because they have that extended foot structure. That's actually its wrist, and its elbows are up near its shoulders. So there we go. Looks like I'm struggling with the sun. I think it looks like a female to me, not a young male. So an adult female. And you can see she's actually got quite a fine set of bottom tushes. So the bottom tusks. Now, I mentioned that there should be babies coming along soon. It's actually going to be a little while longer still before the warthogs have their piglets. How did I tell it was a female? First thing we look at, of course, is between the back legs. We give all sorts of ways that you can tell the difference between a male and a female animal. For most animals, or for most mammals, the quickest way is to honestly just check for testicles. It doesn't work with rhino, elephants, or hippopotamus, or hyenas, but it works for pretty much all other animals. And as you can see, she's also got nipples on her belly, quite prominent ones that you can see. And as well as that, she only has 2 warts on her face, which are actually not warts, they're just protrusions. They are sort of grisly cartilage protrusions. The males have 4, and they're much more prominent. The females only have 2. There was a female hanging around Djuma not so long ago, well, in my mind not so long ago, that actually had 4 warts. Yes, it was a female. It was a female with 4, not a male with 2. It was a female with 4. So you can't always use that as a way of determining what you're looking at, whether it's a male or a female. There we go. Just enough of a glimpse of her. Perfect. All right. As our warthog wanders off, she of course is incredibly fortunate because she's going to be grazing on fresh green shoots and not the leaves that are pumped full of tannins.
Well, everywhere we go, we're finding a hyena drag mark. Another Inyala's expired. It's been dragged off by hyenas. But it looks like they left a little bit of the lower intestine here. And my first proper dung beetle sighting of the year. So the dung beetles are actually going into the lower intestine here to try get some of the dung out. And you can see them just carefully rolling, or one trying to roll a ball. But they've still got to get through a bit of that sinew. So I'm actually almost half convinced that Tandi has found one of these Inyala somewhere. There are just so many of them at the moment. And we just happen to not walk where she is. And but as you can see, it's been dragged off towards the den. And Carol's wondering, are Inyala the only animals dying from the dry conditions? No. Bushbuck and kudu. So your three main browsing species are the ones that are dying at the moment. Inyala seems to be the most heavily hit at the presently though, but we have found a few dead bushbuck and a few dead kudu as well. Now, I'm just hoping that somewhere up ahead is where Tandi's found her Inyala. The best laid plans of mice and men. Tandi's tracks have gone into Torchwood, so she is not here. So we're just going to keep moving along and see if we get any luck with other creatures as we move down this river system. We might even see a live Inyala. Oh, is it there? There's a little Apellis. I didn't see whether there was a bar throated or... Yeah, he's gone. Oh dear. Nothing's going my way this morning. I think I'm going to throw a temper tantrum. In the meantime, let's go see what Sydney's up to.
I haven't picked up any sign of the big Duke of Djuma at Tingana here at the moment, and I can only see the hyena tracks going towards this direction. So I'm just keep following the hyenas to see if maybe they were not following Tingana here in this area. So I went past the treehouse dam. It has got just a little bit of water at the moment, and that water I think is enough to have Tingana in the area for a few days. Yeah, not much has been happening here on the ground according to the signs. Lola, there are reptiles here in this reserve like snakes, and I have been lucky already. I have seen a snake during the spring season. Just when the spring season started, I was lucky to see a Mozambican spitting cobra in one of the holes. So we do have snakes here, which includes pythons and black mambas. So I must also be looking up in these trees, because these cats, they will always surprise you. You might find that he's busy attending a kill somewhere. I can only sniff, I can smell the elephant droppings here, but nothing to do with Tingana yet. Safari Sally, trekking is a very interesting art. I learned how to trek before I started doing this job. While I was still a child, we used to hunt the small animals such as rabbits and hares. That is where I learned all these things. But apart from that, when I was doing guiding as part of the qualification, I also extended guiding and do the trek and science. So I have been assessed, and I understand very well how to do the trekking. So it's quite easy to do trekking. Looking for these animals, if you're only relying on eyesight, you're not going to make it. But if you are using both a sense of smell, eyesight, and trekking, it becomes much more easier, because the ground is going to tell you if this animal has been here, and you can be able to judge and estimate for how long that animal has been there. So now let's cross over to the Kenya in Masai Mara and see how things are happening at the moment.
Welcome back again. I'm sorry about what happened earlier on. I didn't introduce myself and my camera operator. My name is Oli. Joining us behind the camera is Bongay. We are still coming to you live from Mara Triangle in Kenya. We left the buffaloes because they moved so fast to the other side where we are not allowed to off-road. So I quickly spotted the birds. This morning we're having a very exciting sightings. Started from the lions, buffaloes, now we are with the birds. Let me try to get the names of these birds that I can see now. We have, starting from the left, we have the sacred ibis, which is busy probing its beak in the water there, in the mud. You can see the head is gray to blackish. Half of the body is white and the tail is black to grayish. Right next to it, it's a greater egret. Why I'm saying this is because you can see the beak is yellow, S-shaped neck, white feathers, black long legs with yellow toes. We can't see the toes now because they're in the water. Far right there, there's a Egyptian geese. Yes, that's the Egyptian geese. Normally they forage in pairs. Oh, on top there, there's one that's busy foraging there. Wanted to fly. That is called an African jacana. African jacanas, the interesting about them, they have a floating nest. We might be lucky to see its nest there. We might not be lucky also because its nest can camouflage very well in this habitat. On our right there, we have the baboons also here to forage. I think they were here to drink water, but now they are sitting on top of the termite mound there. You can see on your right, Bengai. Let's try and look on our right. Maybe we'll see baboons. Can you get them? Just a piece of them. Yes. These are the baboons. What happened the first week I was here, James Henry asked me a very tricky question. Yo, Sammy, what a nice question. What bird am I excited to see in the Mara? It was my first time seeing a grey crowned crane, a colorful bird which is more related to the cranes we have in South Africa. It's more colorful than the ones we have in South Africa. It was so exciting to see that bird for the first time. When I was talking about the baboons, James asked me a question 2 days after I came to this place in the Mara. He asked me a question, which or what baboons are those? I was like, I didn't even take 2 seconds to respond to his question. I said, these are Chakma baboons, and he laughed. And then I asked him, why are you laughing? Like, these are not Chakma baboons. Look close, look at the features. These are olive baboons. Yes, olive baboons, because you can see their fur is shiny and longer than the Chakmas. The females are the same size of the Chakmas, and the males are bigger than the Chakma baboons. So that makes them different from the Chakma baboons. This is awesome. It was my first time seeing olive baboons here. It's getting hot now. Maybe more of the I didn't get that question. Can you please repeat that, please? Yes, Michelle, I really love baboons, as you love baboons. They are interesting species, but what makes them unique sometimes, and it's that their behavior it's more unique than the other species I've seen here. And what I like about these olive baboons is this: even if we left our accommodation or my tent open there, they won't come into the house and vandalize everything searching for food than the Chakmas we have in South Africa. They are the naughty ones than these ones. These ones are quiet and calm. They are also scared of people. We're gonna see more action as the sun goes up, because we are in the marshy, just next to the marshy area here. We can see it's green. Let's leave these birds and go straight to Jamie and see what she's looking for.
I'm just looking for anything at this point, really. If I had not stopped for that warthog, I probably would have missed Tundi and Tlalamba. It looked like Tlalamba as well. Tracks coming out of Djuma and into Torchwood. So they've crossed over to the east. And unfortunately today we cannot go and search for them there. So no Tundi and Tlalamba for today, unless they decide to come back in the middle of the day, which with Tundi is always a possibility. They were right there. I mean, I was looking at the warthog, and as I went to drive off, I looked down to my right and saw the tracks going straight past and across. Unfortunately, no Tundi and Tlalamba. But at least I'm pretty certain there were two sets of tracks there. Tundi did a bit of weaving, and in that sand it's difficult to tell the difference between the sizes of the tracks. So I'm not 100% certain that Tlalamba was with her, but I'm relatively sure that there were tracks there of a cub as well. So I think that she was with Tlalamba, which is good news. She's alive, well, none the worse really for her fight the other day. So she'll be fine. Alright, well, worth checking. At least we know what's around and what isn't. And we just have to bank on good luck raining down upon our heads for tonight. I, of course, will be with my hyenas at the den site tonight. Last week, they did not make an appearance. It was quite awkward. We did the start of the safari, and two cubs came out because one of the adults, I'm not sure which adult, walked past. And then that was that. Then I had to leave because there were no adults at the den, and then there was just no sign of them. So let's hope that this week is slightly different, so that the wider South African audience can be introduced to the hyenas again. Nope. I was going to say, are there any babies? But the answer is no, because we've got male, 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 and baby female. So nope, no impala lambs here. Most people's days that they've betted on have now passed. Trishala and Brent were both way off. We definitely haven't seen any youngsters. But we definitely won't be seeing any lambs in this group. All a group of yearlings. All part of last year's crop of lambs, and this true survivors. When you think of how many lambs fall victim to all sorts of things, even jackal will catch impala lambs. And martial eagles, I mean, the threats are just everywhere. And it gives you an idea of just how well these little ones have survived. What have you heard? No. Well, that's why they've survived as long as they have. Constant alertness. She was a real late baby, that female. She's tiny still. She's not even nearly fully grown yet. What are you guys hearing? Just the wind, maybe, making them slightly more alert. Douglas, I have absolutely no real idea as to what would happen to a person if they were exposed to high levels of tannins. I imagine that in much the same way it has done to those poor browsers, it will affect their gut bacteria, and what would affect our gut bacteria. I know that if you ever find yourself with a very runny stomach, you find yourself with diarrhea, you can eat the leaves of plants that are high in tannins. So silver cluster leaf would be a good example, as well as spike thorn leaves. And if you eat those, then you will find that it helps to dry up the runny tummy, or so they say. I've never tried it. I know someone who did. I had a roommate who I was quite convinced had malaria at that point, but she was a tricky person, because she didn't want to go to an African hospital. She was an international student who was learning to become a guide, who did not want to go to a local hospital, which was shocking, because I was pretty certain she had malaria. She didn't in the end. But she had such a bad runny stomach that eventually she just decided she was going to eat these leaves. Did absolutely nothing to her. She was very unwell. She was already very unwell, so I don't know what was caused by the high tannins. My goodness me, it's just pigs all around. Sydney has found not one, but 2 warthogs.
So look at that. I am very lucky with the warthogs at the moment. It's 2 of them. They were just next to the termite mound. Maybe the termite mound is where they're staying. Warthogs, they are fossorial. Fossorial animals are the animals who are staying under the ground. So warthogs don't sleep on the ground. Yes, you can see them resting during the day, but they are sleeping underground. Look at that. So the warthogs, every time you see them running away from danger, they lift up that tail. If you cut the tail, their little ones are going to get lost, because the tail serves as a follow me sign. I haven't seen the warthogs for quite a long time. I'm so very much excited today that we found them. The difference between males and females is that the males, the warthogs are lovable animals. Let me just pull forward so that we can have a better sighting, because I can see that they are now moving forward. Look at that. So you can see now it's much better. So the warthogs, I know, they confused a lot of people with the bush pigs. Bush pigs and warthogs are 2 completely different species. If you look at the warthogs, they've got only a little bit of hairs. Look at how the hairs are lying on the body. And the bush pigs, they've got a lot of hairs. The bush pigs don't lift up their tails when there is danger. Warthogs lift up the tails when there's danger. And if you look there, the bush pigs, they've got elongated face without warts. The warthogs, they've got flat face with warts. And warthogs has got the teeth coming out. The bush pigs don't have those teeth coming out. Warthogs are diurnals, which means they are active during the day, whereas the bush pigs are nocturnals. They are active during the night. Both warthogs and bush pigs, they are omnivores. They both feed on both plants and meat, but the bush pigs, high percentage of their diet is on meat. They do scavenge, sometimes they catch birds. Warthogs, high percentage of their diet is on grass and less meat. Warthogs, they also eat meat as well. So you can see that they are just getting disappeared. So what I like the most about warthogs is how they sleep. They always go back in reverse, always ready to charge their intruders. When coming across the artifact hole, which is where they live, you must avoid approaching from the front. It has been a lovely morning with quite a lot of excitement from Hosanna. And thank you very, very much for all your questions and comments. Let's meet again this afternoon.